All right, it's about 6:01. Let's get started. And we will be coming in and take attendance. Derek, um, Stephanie, Armando, Leanne, Aurora, Sebastian, Damien, Leah,
Here.
Hannah, Eve, Janelle,
Here.
Nuha, Stormy, Yesenia, Joshua.
Here.
All right. Okay. Oh, hi. Yesenia, right?
Yep.
Let's change the record here. Yeah. We're missing Leanne, Aurora, Sebastian, Damien. Okay, all right. All right, the plan today is that we'll first get started with the speeches. So 5 minutes, and I have my note, my time cards, and I'll show it to you. After your speech is over, I hopefully by that time recording. That's why I didn't do it on the cloud. I did a YouTube live recording so that I can send all of you the link. There is an exercise that you have to do after your speech is over, immediately after it is over, and. And soon after that, we will start talking about the next speech, which is informative speech. Okay, so we will have our next class session is going to be fully about informative speech, and I also want to introduce it today as well, so we have enough time to do that. So we yeah.
Is the next speech next Monday or no?
The next speech is so if you see the schedule, you'll see that all the speech dates have been highlighted in yellow. And the next speech is April 26th. Okay. And then the final speech, which is persuasive speech, is May 9th. That's it. All right. All right. So let's. You can go according to the any order that you're here. I'm not going to whoever wants to go first. I just want to turn on the light. Just write your name, please, class. And here is the marker. Write your name in the order that you want to go. And I will have a peer evaluation set up for you. So,
You want us to make a list of who's going when?
yeah, if you want to just try sign up and write. So, actually, when you go, then you can just go sign up. I mean, unless you want to write, you want to order and then introduce yourself again. Okay, so here we have. I can't read from here.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Janelle.
Janelle. Okay, no, I didn't. Yeah, good. Janelle is our first speaker.
Okay.
You want to go?
Yeah, no.
Go.
Can I put you in the mic?
Yeah, absolutely. I would. Let me see if anybody's coming in.
It's okay.
All right. One before Janelle, you go there. I want to show something to all of you. You guys have to do a peer evaluation for all the speakers. Okay. And for that, you have to go to in-class assignment. And if you go to in-class assignment, and I'll have some questions for you here. Peer evaluation and 3 questions. First question, how will you remember the speaker as a storyteller? Okay. So what is that one metaphor? Maybe the speaker is a magician, or the speaker is a hustler. Okay. What is that one metaphor with which you remember the speaker? Okay. So how will you remember the speaker as a storyteller and associate the speaker with one metaphor? With one metaphor that comes to your mind. Yeah.
I thought we were supposed to turn in our script, today.
Okay. All right.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. The assignment will be on, I think,
The fourth,
yeah.
that was the thing.
That's okay.
I haven't turned it in.
Okay. So watch out. I'm just going to keep it very simple. You just need to respond to two questions, class. First question is, how will you remember the speaker as a storyteller? So if you think the speaker's message was about this, the magic that the person created, magician, if the speaker was, created, showed how much the speaker struggled through the hardship, maybe a hustler, any word that comes to your mind with the speaker. And then tell me that the second one is a pretty basic, straightforward question. It is what worked out well in the speech, what could have worked out better. Okay, so I have this in your in-class assignment, and this is due today. So after every speaker, you need to provide this. This is how I would do it. I'm trying to.
I don't think it's posted yet.
I'm sorry.
I don't think it's posted yet.
No, I have.
Oh, okay.
So 950 has about 10 points, and now it should be posted. Okay, so you should see this. One, I need to ask you all to do this. Create a Word document. Don't you can do it here as well. You can create just to use the document. So create a Word document when you respond to each and every speaker in regards to these two questions. And once you're done with the speaker doesn't have any opportunity to see your feedback. Okay. The only way that the speaker can get immediate feedback from you is when you use the email feature. Okay, so once you're done writing it in a master document, let's say if Janelle is the first speaker, then let's say Leah goes second speaker. Right after Janelle goes, I want you to do a cut, copy, paste, and send an email to. I hope everybody knows how to use the email function. If you don't, then I can just show it to you. You can go to Blackboard, send email. Once you send email, you'll see lots of choices for you. Single select user, that's the reason I asked you all to write your name there so that you know, not that you guys have spent a whole lot of time, so I'm not expecting you to remember names. So if Janelle is the first speaker, then you click her name and then click, there's an arrow there, you select, and your peer feedback, please provide your name, just peer feedback from, who your name, so that she knows it's not an, actually she'll get to know anyways because she gets to see the sender, but you just write your name, let's say, Sebastian provides a peer review for Janelle, so then you say reviewer Sebastian, and then hit that copy paste, so immediately she also gets to see it. Okay, so that's not for me, but it is also for the speaker. Immediately we'll get to see how the speech was and what are the things that they could do to improve. Okay, any questions regarding this now?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Where is this at? In-class assignment?
Yeah, the assignment, okay, so you go to Blackboard, then go to, you see at the left side of the panel, There'll be, the last one is in-class assignment. You can't go any further.
Okay.
Okay, you click that, and then you see two assignments pop up. The first one is you don't need to, second one is peer evaluation. Once you click this, you will see that there's point, and you just need to, I would probably do it at the end of the class when everybody's speech is done. Create a document, and you know that there are two questions that I asked you. Just remember to answer those questions, and that's it.
So we do that for every speaker?
For every speaker, and then email it also to in-class assignment. Yeah, in-class assignment, please. Why is this like? You should be getting it in-class assignment. I don't know how to do it through this one, so I don't know. I think because it's not connecting, because we are. If you are not getting, is anybody who's not able to get it through their phone or through their device, the in-class assignment? Okay, so in that case, just don't worry about it. Just just do it and just email me. Okay. I don't know why it didn't show up though. Okay. All right, and don't worry. I'll keep checking with you guys. Will you all send it to the speaker? Will you email it to the speaker? I'll keep checking you. All right. So let me. Okay. So we have Janelle as our first speaker. Speakers, write your name here. All right. She's our first speaker. You are being recorded. Right now the recording is going on. So make sure this is the camera, this is the center position, and you can, of course, you can come here. I would probably do it this way. Whatever is comfortable for you, move around. That's the center point. Okay, that's the camera, and that's the center point. You can talk and do your speech. Okay, I'll be at the back. I'll show you the note first. Here. Here we are. I'll be at the back, so all of you will see these cells and put the front and show it to you. So when 3 minutes is over, okay, your speech, you have 5 minutes, and 3 minutes is over, I'll show you this 2-minute card, okay? This means 2 minutes still left. Do not rush, which means 40%, you've only covered 60% of your speech. 40% of your speech is still left, okay? So once 2 minutes, that's 3 minutes, and you just have 1 minute left, I'll say 1 minute, okay? So at this point, you should be almost done or getting done with the body of your speech, okay, when I show you this. So that means 20% of your speech is still left. Okay, when I show you 30 seconds, that means time to conclude. Now, if you haven't, you've got to figure out how to wrap it up there and now conclude, okay? So that's when you conclude, and then 5 minutes is done, it stops. You still don't panic, you still have 30 seconds, okay? So you can go under 30 seconds or you can go over 30 seconds. So, and after 30 seconds, 5 minutes, 30 seconds is over. I'll again show it to you, then please stop. All right. So that's what I'm going to be there. Hopefully everybody will be able to see. And that's it. And we are going to do our peer evaluations as well. So if you want to make notes, however, if it works for you, you can do that. I will be making notes here. And those of you who came in late, let me know so I can give you guys your attendance.
Yes.
Okay. All right. 1 second. Let me just finish this one then. Attendance. Quickly. Then let it go. Okay. Who came in?
Derek.
Derek came in.
And Sebastian.
Sebastian is also here. Okay. So here. Okay. So we are missing Ying Yan, Aurora, Damien, and Stormy. Okay. I'm slightly inner, so I will also take a recording from here. If this doesn't work out, then I have a backup. So I'll do that as well.
Yeah, I was trying to send one, but it's too, the file is too big.
Which one? That's okay. We can talk about it.
All right.
All right. Janelle, go. let me close this because I don't want anyone to come in when speeches are going on. Would you like the podium or do you want to move
yeah, I'll
around?
keep it.
You want to keep it? Okay, all right.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me know when to start.
Yeah. Start.
After my family dog was put down in June due to old age, I instantly grew bored of not waking up to any furry friends that needed to go on walks. Desperate for another friend, I begged my family to cure my boredom by agreeing to get another dog. Happily, they listened to my pleadings, and in September 2020, we added our newest addition to the family, a 2-month-old female French bulldog. What better way to combat feelings of boredom than by adding a hyper, lively being into your family that requires all of your attention? Choosing a name was the first struggle since we were challenged by her grandpa, who wanted to name her Khaleesi after a show he picked up during quarantine. Despite feelings of discontentment from grandpa, we decided to name our new princess Sasha. We quickly came to find that every walk with her was an adventure, and she kept me and my family on our toes. With Sasha, there was never a dull moment, let alone a second of boredom. 10 months and a lot of puppy pads and training sessions later, we decided one dog simply wasn't enough and ended up adding another addition to our family, repeatedly another 2-month-old French bulldog. We couldn't let our first baby go through life alone. We wanted a companion for her. We gave her a male brother, Yoda. He was a beautiful blue Merle French bulldog, and to give you guys an idea of what he looked like, he was blue and spotted. His ears didn't go straight up like normal French bulldogs, so that's why we named him Yoda. But we didn't realize that was a problem until later. So we took baby Yoda home with our baby Sasha. For 2 weeks, everything was fine. We played, we laughed, and introduced our new prized possession to our friends and our family. Life was good. We became super close to our new pet. He was such a good boy and just wanted to cuddle 24/7. But then our new baby stopped eating and we found out we bought him sick. He was so sick his ears wouldn't even go straight up. Canine parvovirus is a very deadly and very contagious disease to dogs. He was dying, but the hospital didn't tell us that straight up. They made us feel like we had a chance. Maybe they had to act like he did. But I realized after that he was so small and was already so sick that he didn't have a chance. He died 2 weeks later. To say I was devastated would be an understatement. Before he died, I was able to take him home out of the ICU for 9 days. We were instructed to take care of him and were given meds to give him at home, but the damage was already too high and he was already too sick. I was defeated. I tried so hard to fight for his life, but it wasn't enough. It seemed like the end of the world, and I was heartbroken. I was angry at God, and I lost sight of my faith. Later that week, I was visited in a dream by a limo driver that had approached me. I looked inside, and my dog Yoda was there, as well as a lot of other French bulldogs. Sasha wasn't inside, which should have notified me of something, but I didn't understand yet. I got inside, and we started to drive off into the distance that was nothing but white clouds. I understood this later as taking my dog across the Rainbow Bridge to its final destination. I was able to take my baby home. I was finally at peace. It took everything in me to really get past the fact that Yoda had passed, but with my faith in God and my family, I was able to get through it. The vet bills ended up being over $10,000, but the pet store had agreed to pay it all, being that we bought him sick, and agreed to give us another dog for free. We ended up getting another sweet 2-month-old French bulldog, and we named him Chewbacca, after our dog Yoda. Thank you.
Right? You could write your comments and then send it to Janelle. I suppose 4 minutes, 30 seconds. Select that, Janelle. What's your last name, Janelle? Yeah, great. So then you see that there's an arrow there? Okay, now click that, yeah. So now, yeah, just write here exactly your name and then just paste it, right? Okay. Oh yeah, if you're ready, hopefully everybody has written that the peer evaluation for Janelle and has also emailed it to her. Yeah, next speaker is Leah. Okay. Whenever you're ready, Leah. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Some of my dad's favorite memories of me as a child are how unspoken and just confident I was. He loves to tell people this story about me that he would say, "You're argumentative." And I would immediately respond to him with the confidence of a four-star general, and I would say, "No, I'm not." I actually saw him a couple weeks ago, and I caught him telling that story to my husband, and it definitely isn't the first time that he told that story to my husband. Those specific characteristics are something that really grew in me all throughout my childhood and into early adulthood. They really kind of defined me. In high school, I chaired different committees. I started new organizations. When I was in college, I was working and I was doing so well at my job that I was promoted to a management position and decided to drop out of college. My ability to communicate at that point in my life and communicate well had gotten me really everywhere that I wanted to be. If there was one thing that nobody probably would have described me as at that point in my life was silent. Definitely not silent. But then something happened. Life happened. Fast forward a handful of years to what I really consider to be a rebirth, and that was becoming a mother, parenthood. For me, everything changed once I became a parent. I was not the first thing that I thought of at all. I was far from the first thing that I thought of. I I was even able to think of myself. Everything that happened to me prior to being a parent was packed up into a suitcase, loaded onto a ship, sailed out to sea, never to be seen again. It was completely lost. My confidence, my outspoken nature, my inner general that would respond to my father was completely silent, just sitting somewhere on the bottom of the ocean. I had no idea where it was at. And since then, I've been searching for them, high and low, near and far. Haven't been able to find them. Because as a mother, everything inside of you changes. That for me, that little life that I grew and that I created inside of me was really just all that mattered anymore. My whole world was rebuilt around my son. My wants, anything that I wanted prior to becoming a parent was silenced. My needs were silenced. Any habits or hobbies that I may have had prior to becoming a mother were silent. Any sense of self, any purpose that I felt prior to becoming a parent was just completely silent. Everything was gone. I really felt like I was just this big empty room with nothing inside of it but this deafening silence, just screaming to get out. But I do want to be clear, definitely not everything about this new point in my life was negative. A big part of my rebirth, as I call it, was really incredible. I loved every inch of my son so much that there were times I would just hold him and cry. Because I was just overwhelmed with love for him. I didn't even know what to do about it. I just would like sit there and cry because that's all that I really knew how to do. But what I found was that this new me, mom me, had lost everything else. Everything else was silent. And since then, nearly 4 years ago, my life has been all about figuring out how to cope with this overwhelming love for my children. I had another. And trying to find that suitcase full of me, my voice, that has been buried somewhere at the bottom of the ocean. I've tried many different avenues of discovery. I have tried working more. I tried working less. I tried working more again. But what I found was that I had gone through so much. I had experienced so much that I didn't really want to find my old voice. I needed to find my new voice. I needed to find something new to say. My confidence and expression, my outgoing nature, now all looked very different. And if I wanted to find my voice back, I needed to figure out what it was that I needed to say now at this new point in my life. So here I am, standing in a speech class at the College of DuPage, trying to finish a degree that I started 15 years ago, finding something to say again. I still have not found my suitcase. It is still buried somewhere at the bottom of the ocean, but I do feel like I'm much closer to finding it. I have a little voice inside me again, and I hear it more every day, kind of breaking through the silence.
Yeah, I can tell you. It was almost 1 second. Let's see.
Or do you post them, or like how will we?
No, that's okay. So first, you were 4 minutes 46 seconds. Okay, and yes, it's been recorded. So once you guys are all done, I'll send you all the link immediately. Okay. Okay. So that was Leah for us. Please provide your comments for her, and then please email it to her. you're ready, if you're done with your evaluation. Okay. Yeah. Sebastian, class.
Yep. I could use my phone as like flashcards, right?
Oh, okay, all right. Okay.
Okay. Oh boy.
So,
So 2 years ago, a pandemic hit the world and changed everyone's lives forever. As a result of this pandemic, I decided to spend 2 years here to go to community college while all my friends left to go somewhere else. Places like U of I, ISU, you get it. Eventually, I found myself being the only one left here. As the school year started, I found myself repeating the same day over and over again, like I was Bill Murray in Groundhog Day. I'd wake up, I'd go to boring, repetitive online classes, I'd lay in bed and watch Netflix all day or do anything to pass the time while I wallowed in my own self-pity. And then I'd go to work, come home at 3 a.m., wake up, and do it all over again the next morning. Months of this passed on until I started feeling tired of this repetitive nature. I could tell it was draining my passion and my motivation, and I just started becoming numb to everything. Nothing excited me anymore. Nothing upset me anymore. I was just existing. So, like I said, a few months of this passed, and I finally decided I wanted to do something about it. It was a nice November day when I decided to drive over to a park in Lombard and just sit under a tree. You see, I'd always loved meditation, and I thought that sitting under a tree and being with my thoughts for a bit would help me figure out what direction I wanted to take my life in. So, like our old pal Buddha, I sat there under a tree, cross-legged, and just thought. It took me a while to, calm down and relax, so I couldn't help but think about what others were thinking about me. There was just a kid sitting cross-legged like some hippie. But after a few minutes, I was able to let go and really get to the good work. So as I sat there and watched my breath, I felt all these thoughts and emotions that I pushed away and suppressed make their way back up to the surface. Thoughts of loneliness, anxiety, my ambitions, my future, they all made their way back up to my head, except this time, I decided to really hear them all out in an effort to get to the root of my problem. You see, I knew I wasn't alone necessarily. I had friends I could hang out with and talk to, but I didn't feel like there was anyone who really understood the thoughts and emotions that I was experiencing. I didn't feel like there was anyone who could really be there for me. No one except myself, at least. No one except myself. If I knew what I was going through, and if I understood what I was experiencing, couldn't I turn to myself for help instead of waiting for some outside source to swoop in and save me? Some outside source I didn't even know if they would ever show up? I decided it was worth a shot. So I turned to myself, and I realized I was the victim of my own actions and emotions. I was my fault for being in this limbo. Sure, there was a pandemic going on and outside forces that kept me in situations I wasn't happy with, forces I couldn't control. But amidst these forces, there was so much I could control. Instead of laying in bed all day and watching as the days passed by, I could make the conscious decision to do something with my day. Anything. I could read, I could make videos, I could draw, I could exercise, I could do so much. The problem is I never wanted to. You see, somewhere along the line, I lost my joy and passion for things that I had previously loved before. I had become content and complacent with the bare minimum, and I was tired of it. I was tired of this limbo. I was tired of feeling tired, and I was tired of not trying. So I decided every day from now on, I would try at least one thing, just one thing to get me back into the groove, whether that's editing, reading, anything. I just wanted to be trying again. I wanted to feel this passion and creativity again. A few hours had passed, and it was now 4:30 and the sun was setting. So I decided to walk up to this hill nearby, and this hill's a gorgeous hill. The town stretches out in front of you, and you can see everything, and the sun sets in front of you too. It's just so perfect. And this day was like no other. It was a gorgeous pink sunset, and I was sitting there enjoying it. When I noticed down at the bottom of the hill, there was a child and a grandfather passing the ball around playing soccer. The kid runs to the grandfather to, try and take the ball away, but he dribbles around him effortlessly and leaves him on the ground. And they both start laughing. And as they're laughing, and as this gorgeous sunset is in front of me, it all just hits me. A wave of peace, a wave of joy, a wave of happiness. I found what I was looking for. I found immense beauty in the smallest of moments. That little moment that that grandfather and child had was so small, but it was so important. And it had me thinking, how many of these little moments do I experience on a daily basis without even realizing? I went home that day feeling much different than I had earlier that day. And my father, my sister, and my dog all greeted me, and they had food ready for me. And I remember feeling so grateful to be able to experience little moments like that for myself. I didn't magically fix all my problems that day. I still suffered with loneliness, anxiety, and all of that. But it was different because I was able to see beauty in so many little things now. I was able to find beauty everywhere. And when you could find beauty in the sunrise and the sunset, when you could find beauty in the little moments you share with your friends, the little laughters, the annoyances you have with your sister, how could you possibly feel like you're living the same boring old day every day? When every day has so much meaning. You just can't be in a limbo. And so I fixed my problem of being stuck in the same day over and over again. Thank you.
Thank you. So Sebastian for us. You send your email to Sebastian.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right, sure. Yeah. Yeah, so go to that and then click this one. Yeah. And then your evaluation, just write your name here. Your evaluation from. No, that's okay. Your evaluation from. Yeah. And then just cut, copy, paste it, and then submit. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Who's the next speaker? Okay, all right. Write your name. Hannah is going. Hannah, whenever you're ready. Go.
Hi everyone, I'm Hannah Kunzer. Today I'll be talking about resiliency, a time in my life where I showed some resiliency. In 2016 to 2019, I was in the Army, and I started my training in Fort Jackson, South Carolina. From then I went to learn my individual job, or MOS, in Fort Lee, Virginia. After my initial training, I went to my first duty station in South Korea, in Camp Humphreys in the city of Pyeongtaek. And then from there, I went from South Korea to Fort Carson, Colorado, in Colorado Springs, Colorado. So while I was in Colorado, I absolutely fell in love with the state. It's an incredible state. It's super adventurous. I like to call it the adventure state. Really outdoorsy. There's hiking, biking, snowboarding, like any type of winter sports. So within this adventure state, in the summer of 2020, me and two buddies of mine from our unit, we decided Labor Day weekend to summit one of the 14ers of Colorado Springs. This mountain is called Pikes Peak. It's in, obviously, Colorado Springs. For those of you who don't know, a 14er is a mountain whose elevation is at least 14,000 feet. And the trail started in the city of Manitou Springs. And the trail is about 12 miles long. And we started off at the trailhead around 5:30 in the morning. And it was me, my buddy Ed, and my other buddy Omar. So we hit the trail at 5:30 in the morning. We made record time to the halfway camp called Bar Camp. It was 6 miles in. So at this halfway point, we made some grave mistakes. So we rested way too long when we probably shouldn't have. We didn't pace ourselves very well. And our friend Ed, he was going through selection school for special forces. So he brought along an extra bag of 65 pounds. So probably wasn't smart. I wouldn't recommend bringing extra weight when you're trying to summit a mountain. But we didn't know. We had poor planning. So as we took our break at Bar Camp, that's when the muscle fatigue came in. My buddy Ed obviously was experiencing some back problems from the weight. My buddy Omar, he was having some pain in his hamstrings from we outpaced ourselves. And then for myself, my hip flexors became so stiff, so simply walking was excruciatingly painful. So as we continued on, we decided to move on. We didn't turn back. And mile 6 to mile 9 was incredibly painful, just with all of the body sore. We were getting passed up by different hiking groups that we had passed earlier in the morning. We every single step over every branch, like it was so painful. So then once we hit mile 9, we took another break. Mile 9 is pretty significant because it's where you get to the tree line of the mountain. So past the tree line, there's no longer any cover or shade from the trees, obviously. They call it the point of no return. Once you make it to mile 9, you have to continue to the top. So we sat there and talked about it. We also had some tuna sandwiches for extra protein because we were feeling pain. But we decided to carry on, and so we continued on past the tree line. The weather was very unpredictable. Of course, there's no trees for protection, and we got snowed on, we got rained on, we got hailed on, and then in between all of that, the sun was just beating down on us. I got really sunburnt, and we met up with some other hiking groups. We helped each other hike to the top. We had one group, one of the guys carried our backpack for us, the extra 65-pound ruck. So it was really helpful, and we got to experience that amazing mountain climbing community. So last 3 miles was excruciating, but we made it. We started off with 3 of us, myself, Ed, and Omar, and we ended up with 9 of us at the top. We took like a summit photo, and then for those who wanted to, we had like some like victory shots at the top. So that was like, something that extra weight we didn't have to bring either, but it was fun. But yeah, that's my story. Resiliency, we were able to surpass our physical pain. We were able to surpass our like the inclement weather, and we were able to just mentally power through and summit the 14er. So thank you.
Thank you.
12 miles
How
back.
was that? Yeah.
Yeah, there was buses at
Okay, that was Hannah for us. Send your feedback to Hannah. next. All right. Joshua is our next speaker. Hey, Joshua, when you're ready. Go.
In the year 2020, I turned 21. While most people are excited for drinking and going to bars, pandemic aside, I was more excited for one thing: sports betting. I was in Afghanistan until October, which obviously it's illegal there, but once I got back to the States, I got straight into it. I created a DraftKings account and I called my brother on the phone. I told him what I was going to bet on and the reasoning. Then he told me what he was going to bet on and the reasoning. It started off with $10 to $20 bets on NFL games we were going to watch anyways, and it was exciting rooting for the teams that we needed to win to have our bets hit. And if we lost, we could say we only lost $10 to $20, and we still had fun watching the game. As the NFL season went on, we started to get deeper into our analysis. We were posting on forums and Twitter, arguing with other people in their picks, saying why they were posting losers and we were posting winners. We also started to look at other people's analysis on the forums and started to tail their bets. We started watching NFL games that we cared nothing about except for what we bet on them. But it was still fun because we enjoyed watching NFL games and commentating on them with each other over the phone. I came into work on a Monday bragging about how I placed half a dozen bets on Sunday and won $200. But if I lost, I could say that I wagered way more money than I ended up losing, and it was still fun. My coworkers would tell me about their bets, some of them, and some of them could say what they would bet on if they bet. And we would argue, but it was fun. As the NFL season turned into the playoffs, we kept the volume high, but the bet were still the same, $10 to $20 a game. The NFL season came to an end, the Super Bowl happened. I bet $100 on the Chiefs, and my brother bet $100 on the Buccaneers. I lost $100, he won $100, it was fun. When it was all said and done, I wagered a few $1,000s to win $200. Needless to say, I was ready to up the ante the next NFL season. But unfortunately for me, the NFL has a long off season, and it felt like something was missing from my life. There was no longer stats to look at, no phone calls with my brother, no Monday arguments at work, most importantly, no games to gamble on, and no games to make money on. I started to spend more time on these forums, looking at posters I know post their picks about college basketball, a sport I knew nothing about, and also my brother knew nothing about. But I wanted to gamble, and I missed the action. I started to place $10 to $20 picks on these college basketball, tailing these college basketball picks from the forums. I would come into work bragging about how I won money on a game I didn't even watch. When I told my brother about this, he told me he was doing the same thing, except he was following a guy on Twitter who won 18 bets in a row. 18 bets in a row. I asked him in disbelief. He told me to check his Twitter. It was all documented there. I went to the Twitter. @Usemetrics was the handle, and he had a self-proclaimed winning college basketball betting algorithm and the numbers to prove it. I follow Usemetrics, and he posted a pick. His picks came with a percentage, and of the few bets he missed, he never missed a bet with a percentage this high. My brother was up $1,600 tailing this guy, and I felt like I had some catching up to do. I placed $1,000 on the Mercer Bears men's college basketball team to win. And of course, they lost by 2 points. I tried to rationalize with myself that a player who came off the bench who averaged 2 points a game had 27 points. Surely it was a fluke. The algorithm couldn't account for that. So, Usemetrics posted again. I placed $500 on the bet with plans to double it. And unfortunately, it also lost. Then, Usemetrics posted again. Another $500. I just had to double it, and then double it, and I would be back to even. And of course, it lost. One last time. I just have to double it, double it, double it, double it, and I'll be good, right? And of course, it lost. I was down $2,500 in the last 3 days. I was mad at my brother, I was mad at Usemetrics, but most importantly, I was mad at myself. After that day, I never talked about sports betting again. If someone ever brought it up with me, I would tell them to not even get started. It was too easy to go off the rails. Sports betting had silenced me.
That was Justin first. Can we have the next speaker? Please do submit your peer evaluation for Justice. Email it to him. All right, next speaker. Steve is our next speaker. Okay. All right. Yeah. Whenever you're ready, you can go.
So I've always enjoyed exploring the outdoors. I really like biking. Over the summer, I train for a triathlon. I go for long distance bike rides and stuff. I really enjoy it because of the silence and like the meditation that I get out of it. I just put on a playlist and go, and it's great. But for a long time, I thought I was doing that, and I thought I was meditating, and I really thought I was getting a time out of this, and I realized that instead it was really just filmed with, or it was filled with like a lot of noise from my friends instead. In high school, I mean, obviously I was young, I can't just like go out into nature by myself, so I'd always go with friends, and those friends would really fill up the time with just useless stuff. I mean, I had like my friend talking about his 405 deadlift max and going over that for the 10th time, or this new guitar riff, or some car they want to buy. It was always just nonsense. And so there was one day, we went to this place called The Slab. It's in St. Charles. You go up a bridge and you walk down the tracks and you hit this like massive just concrete area. You spray paint there because it's empty and it's just really peaceful. It's quiet. You don't hear cars. You don't hear people. You all split up and you go spray paint. And it was in that one day that I went. I was just like by myself. It's like 30 degrees out and I'm spray painting on my wall and I don't know where my friends are. And I'm sitting there. I'm like actually thinking about myself. Where do I want to go in life? What do I think about like this religion thing and just a bunch of things in my life. And I realized like this is the silence that I actually want in my life. And I came to a realization that like I'm really happy to have my friends. I love my friends, but I was really tired of my friends. So I decided to just like pull like a 2007 Britney Spears. I cut off all my hair and I realized like this is gonna hold me accountable. Nobody's gonna talk to me. I lost a lot of friends because of that. They probably thought I was crazy. I also realized how many friends were my friend because of the way I looked or like the social clout that they could get from me. And that was really hard for like high school me to accept that my friends aren't my friends. But yeah, I cut off my hair and I donated it. And in that time, I realized like I can safely go on a bike path now. I felt safer. I felt better about myself. I was getting older. And I started just doing the stuff I wanted to. I graduated high school during COVID, a year early. During that year, I just like kind of cut off all my friends for a bit, and I had like true silence for a year. And finally, like time to actually like process the thoughts that I wanted to about, where I wanted to go in life and self-improvement and everything that I've just been putting off and stuff. So I started working at Mariano's, worked at Mariano's for a year. It was its own situation. But my life for that year was literally Mariano's, going to the gym that I signed up for, finally paying for my own gym, and then going home and like reading a book or meditating or like figuring out and just like having time to process without feeling like you have a time crunch. I didn't have to worry about, is Andrew's mom's minivan going to be available and is the group chat down and go to, whatever tonight. So I really appreciated the silence that I got in that time. I think what I learned from it, I kind of call it my hermit year. It was my time to just kind of like seclude myself from the world. And in that time, I realized, well, like what my goals were. I realized like, I think I'm going to go into food science. Now I'm at COD, I'm trying to do food science. I realized like, I should probably be focusing on the gym. And I got a lot of life goals out of it that were really good. I think what I learned also is like the noise in life kind of can block those thoughts. And I really don't know like how much more I have that. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot that I need to be thinking about that, I just don't always have time for. So I really try to like make time for that meditation in that silence. So the speech isn't really about a time I've been silenced, but more so a time I like forced myself into silence. And I really don't regret it. It was amazing. And yeah, I learned a lot from it, and now I'm here. I'm at COD. So kind of came out of my hermit year. I have friends again, love my friends, love my hobbies, but like finding that balance of still finding time for myself has been great. Um, so I guess, yeah, that's the lesson that I learned during my hermit year. Thank you for listening.
That is E for us, right? If you could write your comments to E. And if the next speaker is ready, you can go. All right, Mr. Kaneem, I know you're ready.
Okay. I'm here to talk about my soccer journey and how hard it's been to get a career out of soccer. I know many people know that sports can be hard to achieve in, and it's not easy to get into D1 schools or get yourself into private leagues or even higher leagues. So it all started when my parents played soccer at a young age. I'm from Mexico, and most of my family lives there, but only my mom and my dad came to Illinois when I was 3 years old. My mom played soccer, and shortly after she had me, she stopped playing for a while. She decided to involve me in private clubs in Park District. She thought I had a better chance in making it big and going further in life. So when I was in fourth grade, she enrolled me in a soccer Park District team. But Park District doesn't take you serious. They let you play. It's not very strict, and you have to win this amount of time. No tryouts, no pushing you to be better. Around sixth grade, that's when my mom really saw that I was leaning towards the sport and I was enjoying it more. And she made me try out for this club called Illinois FC, which is a private club. You have to try out in order to join. It's not like you pay and you're in. You still pay. It was around 5,000 at the time. You had to pay for travel, for uniforms, and all the expenses that come along with. Um, I would say I was a little bit underskilled for my age at that time. I was only 12, and they told me that in order to be able to play in the league, I had to sit out for a year and just train. And although I love soccer, it devastated me because I came to play. I didn't want to be benched, but having that 1 year of practice has came a long way. Now I play college soccer, but it didn't go as smoothly as I wanted to. I didn't get into a D1 as I wanted to. Um, I tried out for varsity my freshman year of high school, and I made it. I played varsity my whole 3 years of high school, and during my summer and fall seasons, I played club. And since I had bettered my skills and I had exposed myself to other teams, I got a scholarship to play for that same club, but at a half rate. So I wasn't paying as much, and my mom was getting her money's worth, and I was too. Junior year of high school, I thought I had a whole year left to decide on what college I wanted to go and what D1 schools or D2 schools I was going to target. But I only had 6 offers, and it wasn't enough. Although my primary goal was to get out of Illinois, because down south, 2 hours from here, it is so small, it's boring. So I kind of freaked out that I wasn't going to go anywhere. So I had some scholarships available from California, from Oregon, from Wisconsin, from New York, and a couple other states. Although I'm not from here, tuition was way out of my pay or my parents' pay. I couldn't afford it even with scholarships they were giving me. And I didn't get to have DACA, which was one of our benefits at the time, and I was too young for it too. And I was like, okay, maybe next year I get a better chance. Senior year came, and as soon as we started, I remember there was 3 days left for our first game, and COVID hit, and all was lost. I didn't get any more scholarship opportunities until California reached out again, and I moved to California with 4 suitcases. I didn't know anyone, and I had hope again. But shortly after, we didn't have enough girls, and it was a private school in California, which was awesome. But it wasn't enough girls, so they sent me back home, and I didn't want to give up. And I looked for backup community college that were in bigger cities, still in my price range, to expose me to D1 schools. And that's why I came to COD, because it's one of the good community college, good education. And now I'm going into my sophomore year, And I have created a field level account, which exposes me to D1 schools, D2s, D3s. And I have coaches that are willing to put in the effort to get me in those places. And for that, I'm still going through challenges through soccer, but the people I've met have made it easier for me. Keep going on.
Please write your comments first, if any. Okay, the next speaker, please. Right, that's Armando for us.
Okay.
All right. Okay, Armando, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Many years ago, I got hired in a new job, uh, and that was back in the Philippines, where I came from. It was almost Christmas time, and this company would always have a Christmas party every year during that time. And it's actually one of the big insurance companies back in the Philippines, where I came from. And one of the this company would spend the money and hire a nice place, and so the employees would enjoy the party. The theme for the party was the 80s, and each department would have to prepare a presentation for the contest. And there would be some nice prizes to be given away at the end of the night. And our department manager at the time told us that we should really try hard to win the first place award, because they almost always get it every year. So, being the newest member of the department, I thought that I was obligated to participate in the presentation. But the fact that I was shy, I didn't really know how I was going to do that. So, our department presentation would involve, among other things, Madonna, Boy George, and Michael Jackson performing one of their popular songs. The department was right away able to pick who would play the parts of Madonna and Boy George, but they couldn't really find anyone who would perform as Michael Jackson. And guess who ended up getting that part? So it's yours truly. So this shy guy here just got assigned to perform as Michael Jackson in front of a big crowd during a Christmas party, because no one else can do that. Isn't it great? But like I said earlier, I thought I was obligated to participate, so I said yes. And after that, I started, researching, kind of watching Michael Jackson's videos, just to see how I can copy his moves. I would say that I can dance pretty okay at the time, in those times when I was younger. So I told myself I can do it. I started practicing every night until such time that I was able to memorize all the steps of the song. I didn't really worry about the singing part, because I was sure that all of us would be like lip syncing the song. And I thought that because of the big venue, the audience would not really notice me, not knowing every word of the song. But so when I re, uh, yeah, but okay, I'm sorry. Uh, I was lip syncing and dancing to the tune of Billie Jean, and I'm sure some of you are familiar with how the song goes. And it was really, uh, it, it was kind of intense for me, at least to perform it myself. And so the party started, and everyone was, wearing their nice costumes and outfits. I was wearing my sparky jacket and my tight pants and my hat, and I'm sure you were all staring at me like, how stupid I looked at that time. But anyway, when my time came to perform, so I was busting out the moonwalk and other Michael Jackson's, signature moves. So after all that, the audience actually ended up liking my presentation. I was getting like, high fives after that. And best of all, the department actually won the first place award for that night. And by participating in the event, I was able to show my boss that I can perform the tasks, even the ones that I find hard, as long as they give me best effort. Thank you.
That was Amanda for us. Next speaker. Please remember to provide your feedback and send it to Armando, please. Yesenia, whenever you're ready, you can go. One second, let me switch on my. Okay, go.
Growing up in the Mexican Hispanic household, my parents had two different styles of parenting. My mom was more involved. She'd give us advice, disciplined us. She she was basically in our lives. So my dad, he was more silent. Didn't really tell us nothing when we were bad. Me and my sister used to watch this show on Fox called Empire. It was about a family in the music industry. The mom was very outspoken. She disciplined her kids. The dad, he wasn't very, and he wouldn't discipline them that much. So whenever things would get rough, he'd kind of just walk away or leave. That's kind of how my dad was. So as we got older, he went to Texas to work with his brother in construction. And me and one of my other sisters were talking about how we should go visit him. And so we looked up tickets. It was around Valentine's Day, and then we thought of a brilliant idea to disguise ourselves to see if he'd recognize us. So we did that, but we didn't know where he lived. We knew he lived in San Antonio, but he didn't live with my uncle. So then we called my uncle to see if we can get his address. We told him our plan. He gave us an address. So then I called my dad and I told him that I wanted to deliver something for him for Valentine's Day if he could, give me an address. And he said, yeah, send it to my coworker's house. So then, so whatever, we booked our flights. We bought some wigs and some sunglasses and just clothes that we wouldn't normally wear. So as we got closer to the area that he lived, I called him and I asked if he was home because the delivery person was going to be there soon. So then he still gave me the friend's address. So I called my uncle, like, we need to know where exactly he lives. And my uncle's like, well, he lives down the street. I wasn't sure why he wasn't giving me his address. So then we pulled up to the friend's house and I noticed his truck was down the street. So then we pulled up to his friend's house, the address he gave us, and knocked on the door. And the friend just kind of looked at us like, who are these girls? So then we asked for him and he came to the door and he was kind of confused and closed the door, and then we knocked again, and then he opened it. And when he heard our voices, he realized it was us. And it was an emotional moment. We got to spend some time with him. A few years later, he ended up moving back. So we're just happy to have him back. Most of my siblings have kids, so he could watch them grow and maybe be a little bit more involved. He's still silent whenever I ask him something. He doesn't really say much or talk. So hopefully that'll change with his grandkids.
Thank you. This is Yesenia for us. Please provide your comments. All right, if you're ready, the next speaker. We have Derek as our next speaker. Okay. Derek, whenever you're ready, you can go.
Okay. I traveled I traveled to United States to further my education. But when I arrived in the United States, I had some circumstances which I was using as excuses, um, which was a major concern for myself and my family, especially my mom. She kept calling every now and then, asking that I was in school or I was in the school year. But the circumstances were due to I had to stabilize myself and basically find a job and, definitely pay bills and stuff like that. So unfortunately, I was living in the suburbs and it was hard transportation wise. So I had to find a job next, close to where I was staying. And sometimes I would walk back and forth, even during snow time, double up in clothes and, walk back and forth. But the great news is, even with all this environmental change in my life, I got promoted in the job within 8 months, and that was like a big comeback for me. But it was still taken away from uh, my my plans to go back to school. And as I was saying, my mom kept following up, my dad following up, and other family members as well. So I told them about what I was going through, and I had to stabilize first, and then get to where I need to be at before going to school. Um, with the new promotion, it took most of my time, so I felt like, wow, am I ever going to go back to school? Because they needed me more time, and at some point in time, I wanted to either stop schooling and stop working and go back to school. Um, but that won't work because I still needed stability here first. So I focused on my new position and dedicated myself, kind of focused on that part. And after that, within 6 months at this new position, I got promoted again. So this was becoming hard for me to go back to school. And the main focus was to come over here and further my education. But it was a different scenario because back at home in Africa, Ghana to be specific, I would go to school and not really have to worry about working. But it's not like that over here. So I had to go through all of that environmental changes and obstacles in the way. I tried working in schooling and it didn't work for my position as well. So there was a month that I was almost giving up and I had a call, like a routine call from my family, my dad and my mom, and following up as well. And my I tried joking around and I told them I was fed up. I wasn't going to school again because it's a different thing altogether over here. But so that kind of brought my mom's emotions down, and I finally told her no, I was playing, but I was actually looking for school. I found a school when I was trying to work in and school together. I found like I applied to DeVry, and still when I had the classes, it couldn't still work for me, so I had to just let it go. And then last year, when I was looking for something that would work for me, I found COE and I applied and basically worked my transcript and everything to be crossed over. So basically, I had a phone call again. We talked about it, and after the joke, I told them I found a school. They were very happy for me. and I told them I was going to graduate in the grand style. It took so many years, but with the theme being resilience, I feel like this is a good story to let everybody know. Thank you.
Okay. Last speaker. Please send your comments to, hopefully everybody send their comments to Derek. And we have not the last speaker today. I think everybody's finished, right? Yeah. Nuha. Nuha is our last speaker, and Nuha, whenever you're ready, you can go. Okay.
School's something that I've struggled with since I was a kid. It's not that I'm bad at it, it's just that it gets a bit overwhelming. Having to constantly learn and retain all new information has been really challenging. I always tried really hard to, going in for tutoring after school or asking teachers for one-on-one help. I even joined this extra help program in high school, and while it did help for a short period of time, I forgot everything once I stopped going. I've always dreamed big and I've had high expectations for myself, but having high expectations and being a failure in school isn't really ideal. I started my freshman year of college in 2017 at DePaul. I did really well my first year there. I remember thinking this is the brand new fresh start I needed. I ended my first year there with a GPA, hold on, with the highest GPA I'd ever had. I was so happy and proud of myself because for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like an absolute failure. That summer following my freshman year was one of the worst summers of my life. I lost my best friend, my grandfather, to cancer. He was one of the only people in my life that I felt genuinely loved and believed in me. His death hit me really hard, and it took a big toll on me. I fell into a state of depression, and nothing felt right. I felt like I couldn't function, and it took me so long to get out of the funk I was in because I just wanted to be alone all the time. Not only was he always there for me, but he was the glue that held my family together. When my parents got divorced, he took us in and provided for us. He helped us with our finances and everything else we needed. So when he passed, things got rough. I started working that summer to save up money for school. Working during the summer is fine because I had nothing else to do, but once school started, things got really hard. I commute to DePaul from Oak Brook in the morning and then come back in the afternoon, then go to work until 11 at night. And my schedule was really out of whack. I couldn't concentrate on school as much. I'd get tired so easily, and at one point, I just lost all motivation. My grades started to slip, and I fell back into my old high school habits. And by the end of my sophomore year, my GPA was so low that it didn't seem right to stay there. So I transferred out and started COD in August of 2019. I knew I wanted better for myself, and I knew I could do better because I'd done it before. Maybe starting fresh again and with a different mindset, I could accomplish my goal of completing college. Once I got to COD, I didn't have to worry about high tuition payments, so I cut my hours at work and started to focus more on school. Throughout the year, I had to keep reminding myself that I couldn't let things affect me so bad to the point where I lose myself. It isn't what my grandfather would have wanted. I'm now pursuing a major I want and doing decently well in school. I know in this moment I'm making him proud. Through all the hardships I've faced in the past few years, I've stayed resilient. I know that I'll graduate college and become something of myself one day. It'll take time, but I know I'm capable of it.
That was Nuha. If you could send you, you could write your comments and you